Hello and welcome to Paul's Personal Finances. As I said, this is completely inspired by Walt, a dog who's one of the reasons we basically decided to do it in his name because he's the most loyal person, trustworthy person, and hopefully, I hope this particular episodes goes to you exactly the same way. I have every intention that you like it, subscribe it, and share it. Walt will really appreciate that, and we will go from there. So today's episode, let Walt go of his own. Today's episode, basically, I thought again we will do a small one. Very simple things to understand. That's basically risk versus return. Now, what exactly is risk and what is the return? Basically, it's a simple thing. If you want to probably like a gamble a lot, like take a toss or something, 50% chance you get a head, 50% chance you get a tail, correct? So if you just bet on it that, okay, I will get 10 if I get a head or if I get a tail, that's kind of practically putting it on chances, correct? In some other cases, if you want to put the whole money in like a fixed deposit or CD, what we call over here, it is guaranteed money, but then of course there is very little return. So effectively, your risk, more return, less risk, less return. It's a simple truth. More risk, more return, less risk, less return. Now, let's just take a very simple scenarios for different type of people. Let's say you have 100 bucks, you have 1,000 bucks, or you have 10,000 bucks, correct? And I will just give a quick scenario how you can invest this money in order to get more return. How much risk you should take, how much return you should expect. Now, typically 100 bucks, a lot of constraint because you really have not much in today's market. Whether it is $100, 100 rupees, doesn't matter, that's what it is. So what are the options you have in order to make some more money? Well, of course you can keep it in the savings account, right? In the bank. So savings account typically in US will give you maybe at the most 2% for now. So what does 2% means? 2% means in 1 year you will get 102 rupees, practically nothing. Particularly another thing you really need to understand, the inflation part of it. The whole world is talking about inflation nowadays. So inflation, let's say in US it went up, now it is back in like 2 to 3%. So if the US inflation is 3%, that means in 1 year I need 103 bucks to maintain the same standard of living what I have on 100 bucks, correct? So if I get only 2% savings, my standard of living will bound to go down. So it has to be at least more than inflation. Now you have no control over the inflation, it's economy driven. This you do have a control because depending on the terms of the savings and other thing, you can make that thing. But when you have 100 bucks, your options of taking risk or return is very limited because there's not much you have. Now, there are other ways. Now, let's say you want to really make money. Well, there are penny stocks, all right? So, what does penny stock does? Is basically, or you can go, there are a lot of NASDAQ stock or like high volatility stocks out there, which are, let's say, less than $5. So basically, you can buy 20 stocks of those things. They are small cap stock. A lot of them are sort of goes up and down based on like the market scenarios, but a lot of It's similar to, let's say you want to spend this particular money on like $100, some um, what should I say, like it's a any kind of like a CBD or those type of like highly volatile stocks or some biotech stocks which are less than $5. So you buy 20 of them. That's probably a good way to make money. Sometimes you can have some ETF, like we can talk about this thing again later, exchange traded fund, which is also based on certain market categories, and that also could be less than say $5, and you basically invest on that. So that's pretty much, you have the options. Savings, you can put something. If you want to more risk, you can put the money on say penny stock. Money can be gone too. Money can basically return a lot of money within a few months. So again, same concept. Risk high, return high. Risk low, return low. Right? I keep mentioning that. If you go on this particular thing, on the ETF, it is a little bit of diversified portfolio, but still there is a lot of volatility in there. So one of the things you have to understand when I'm saying volatility is this is like this, correct? So you are basically how quickly this is going up and down. In stock market terms, particularly when you are doing this kind of thing, it is particularly called beta. You really want to have, if you want to have a higher risk and return, you basically go like 1.5 beta, 2 beta. That means whatever the exchange like S&P and other type of stock fluctuates, it basically double the fluctuations. So basically you're going for a higher return considering higher risk over it. So that's basically some of the options you have over here if you have $100. If you have say $1,000, the principle behind this thing is still the same. It's the more amount you have, less constraint you have, so you have more options to invest probably. Now again, the same thing, you can go over there, $1,000 probably you can probably put it into the savings. It will stay, make pretty much maybe 2.5% or something some places if you go online investment or something. If you go for a higher term, it probably make a little bit more money. So that's another option. But again, remember, this is, you're stuck with the money given to bank, right? That's one problem. On the other hand, if you have $1,000, what will you do? You basically want to get other type of way to make money. You basically buy some, I would say like ETF or something. Now, what is ETF? I just need to probably explain a little bit. So there are different type of exchange traded fund. So effectively, if I say exchange, in here we have some basic exchange was Dow Industrial. Then you have NASDAQ. NASDAQ is tech heavy, so you can have NASDAQ. You have also like S&P and other type of index fund. These are all the index fund you typically go over here. In India, it is like similarly, as far as I know, is like BSE, NSE, those type of thing. Again, these are all the exchange, and you typically want to buy a exchange. Dow, DIA is, let's say, one of the exchange traded fund tracking thing, correct? NASDAQ, which I really like, and most of the people even like Warren Buffett and other thing basically said that thing. That's basically is QQQ. In S&P, this is like SPY. These are again that what is called a ticker symbol, how actually you invest into the market. So this you can probably invest on the ETF. Now remember, this is also coming from like exchange traded fund from different companies, right? So you can get from say Charles Schwab, you can get it from other kind of companies too. So QQQ is also got A by Invesco or those things. So one of them is from Charles Schwab. So same DIA, you can get it from, let's say, equivalent one from Fidelity, which may be also following the Dow Industrials thing, but it's much lower price, correct? So again, so ETF is one other thing you can do. What is the benefit of it? Stock market has a higher fluctuations over here, correct? So your return could be more. Now remember, I just said in the previous one, it's a question of, again, the same rule applies. Four things: buy low, sell high. But the critical part is when to buy, when to sell. So if you are buying over here and you are selling over here, you make this much of return in during this period of time, correct? And that is basically what you have to always keep in mind. Whenever you are doing anything, it is basically that's what matters. Now let's say go to the other piece of it, that's basically a lot of reasonable money to actually invest. One of the critical thing which you don't have here, but you are basically will get the luxury of doing that, is diversification, correct? So critically what you really want to do is diversify your portfolio. That's a word you will always hear. So instead of putting the whole money in one bucket, like in stock, or only this, meaning minimum risk versus maximum risk, you probably can do part of it here, part of it here, part of it in mid. So effectively, in order to diversify, typically you can put some money in CD or fixed deposit or whatever you call it. So you put, say, 25% over here. You can put 25%. Of course, you want to take some chances, and that chances should be, I call calculated word. You can put something, let's say an ETF or stock, which you really like, or something about, say, another 25%. And you can put in between somewhere, let's say you want to play the game of some bond. So you can put some money on bond also. Again, there we can go literally on another part is 25%, correct? And you can put another money probably in cash or something. So this is basically another way you can do it. What it does for you is effectively you will not, just because let's say tomorrow something happened and the whole market collapsed, that doesn't mean you are out of this thing, correct? It actually balances out the thing. Fluctuation, it makes it much less, like this. So instead of this big, it makes it this one. So the flow of this thing is much lower. What it impacts, it basically reduces your shock coverage. And with time, with more money, you technically have more opportunity to diversify your portfolio, which gives you the literally the personal finance. One of the key things which you are expecting is the independence. So again, critical part between this and this and this is basically the more you get with time, you tend to diversify your portfolio, and diversification gives you probably like less return but with the less risk, but it actually establishes more financial independence and more better platform for it. We can go for each and every one more details later, but till then, please try to subscribe, share, and give us a comment. Anything you like, dislike, I'll be more than happy to basically share with you with my knowledge. Thank you and have a good one.